What's going on, everybody, and welcome into Heated Shenanigans Podcast. And as you guys can see, joining me today has been one of the most requested guests since we've started the podcast. He is a WWE Hall of Famer. He is the whole effing show, the one and only Rob Van Dam.
That's my cue. Thanks for having me, Scott.
No problem, man. So, did you get a chance, we'll kick this off here with a recent topic. Have you had a chance to watch the Raw on Netflix?
I haven't seen it in its entirety. I watched, I think, maybe the first hour, and then also got to see footage from Hulk Hogan's part of the show on various YouTube outlets, you know.
What were your thoughts on the crowd reaction to Hulk?
Well, it seemed a little bit negative, you know. Seemed like a little, yeah. So I can't believe how many different sites picked it up, like as a main event, you know, headliner, all over the news today, and really, I'm kind of surprised by that. Like, is it that big of news that, I mean, a pro wrestler got booed, and it's like, just because that wasn't their plans is why people find it interesting, I think, right?
Yeah, I feel like it kind of overshadowed what collectively was a great night.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be remembered as a really good night, you know, by everybody. But I mean, so what, you know? so they booed him, and he gets booed sometimes, and he definitely goes through his cycles as far as being over and being under, and looking clean and fresh, and then, you know, screwing himself over, putting his foot in his mouth and getting himself in trouble. So he's always done that. I can't believe people are like so amazed by it, but it's like, to me, from my perspective, because, you know, I'm RVD, I'm a wrestler, and I see how the business has changed over the years. I think, like, people always want to think that they know exactly how everything works, right? And so, you know, there's no more kayfabe. I mean, it used to be a hidden, you know, closed doors, secret society kind of business back when I got into it, and then, you know, it's definitely changed, but it's where it is now. The fans think they understand everything, but they don't, and it's just different now. It's a different way of working them, or blending in, you know, between the line, blurring the lines and stuff like that keeps them thrown off. And I really think that played a factor here. I think that because the fans want to think, you know, like that everything is rehearsed. They want to imagine that Hulk Hogan went up on stage and practiced his speech, you know, 3 or 4 times in the day, and then this time in front of the crowd, it didn't work the way he wanted it to. I think that's really what adds a lot of the excitement to it, is just that silly notion of something that was planned to go one way that went wrong, because we know how everything is scripted. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? Speaking again of things going awry and not according to plan, a question that I had always wanted to ask you for, over a decade now. The 2002 Survivor Series, the Elimination Chamber, you had a ridiculous amount of momentum going into that match. And that was the one where Shawn Michaels made his return and won the championship in the Elimination Chamber. I was always interested to know, was the original plan for you to win the title that night with all that momentum, and Shawn coming back kind of changed it last minute?
It's possible. I really wouldn't know. You know, I was never privy to what the office is planning on doing, and I certainly would get fed enough information that didn't happen to keep me always thrown off, like never feeling like I was irreplaceable, you know, because so many times you hear a little gossip, hey, you know, you're going to be, you're going to be, you know, the Intercontinental Champion. You're going to be on this run and this and that. And then boom, it goes a different direction. That happens. I don't really think any wrestlers are what's what I'm looking for? Are subject to different terms. I think everybody goes through that. But some of them, they don't learn from it, you know, and then when they get let go, they're shocked, and the whole world is shocked. Oh my God, they let me go, you know, and it's, my head never got to where, even like when you say I had a lot of momentum going, I never felt like I was not expendable, because they gave me, would tell me about plans that never happened so often that I just stopped believing anything until it actually happens.
And of those plans, was there anything that sticks out to you? Like, man, I kind of wish they would have been telling me the truth about this one.
Not really. The only thing that sticks out in my mind is that a lot of times I get asked when I beat John Cena, like a lot of people when they're interviewing me, they want to know like how far in advance did I know, and questions like that. And man, I don't even record those things in my head because of what I just told you. Like, until it actually happened, I don't allow myself to believe that it is going to happen. I'm still, as long as there's room for error, as long as I still got to jump up to the top and hit my frog splash, there's still a lot of room for error. And when I grab that, I'm like, watch, here's where I'm going to slip and like break my neck right here at the end of it all. And so like, until I actually held that belt, whoa, you know, this is really happening. That's when I knew for sure. So that's the one thing that stands out in my mind. And that's just because that's part of the business. They're always telling you, you know, hey, you know, they're going to be doing this and this with you. And like, okay. And then they do it with somebody else, or you find out somebody else, they're telling them the exact same thing they're telling you. That's happened a couple times.
Let's say that night at ECW One Night Stand, I mean, you got the opportunity to win the WWE title. The crowd, I think that might be the most special part of maybe that entire event, because they were so invested to what they were seeing, because they didn't have that version of ECW in their lives anymore. And to see one of the all-time Mount Rushmore wrestlers of ECW get the big win over the much hated at the time John Cena. What was the crowd reaction? What did it mean to you to get that type of reaction?
It was, you know, an irreplaceable night out of my whole 35-year career. It's just been a great memory, because they were 100% for everything that I stood for and 100% against everything he stood for. And that's what that match was about. That's what the idea was when I went to Vince and said, let us do a pay-per-view where we can do ECW style, because I knew that the fans had the passion, the wrestlers that were there had the passion, and we wanted to be our old selves again. Like, as artists, we love that. You know, we're the happiest in that environment. And for some of us, that's the best way to showcase our talents as well. So going into that, I knew all that the first year, and then the second year when I got to wrestle and wrestled Cena, and knew that it was in ECW territory at the Hammerstein Ballroom, man, there was already like no doubt he was going to be the heel. I was going to be the most over, but we still didn't know exactly. You know, we couldn't guess they were going to throw his shirt back at him and stuff like that. Can you imagine if somebody wanted to keep his shirt and run out of the building? Everyone would have pummeled that guy, you know, and just on principle, probably, because there was a lot at stake. And when you think about it, the build-up for that match was my entire career.
Yeah, from the beginnings in ECW to that current moment and reaching the top of the mountain.
Everybody against everyone's advice, telling me, you know, to cut that extreme edge off and become more mainstream and more, you know, mainstream popular business. I you know, was for better or worse, I was like unflexible in a lot of ways, you know, and that I handled my business. Those things I wouldn't do because I thought they were stupid. I fought for things that I really thought were really good and cool, and And so that's all part of my story. But in the end, mainstream is always bigger than going against the edge, because that's always going to require like a niche kind of following. So looking at it that way, I'd be happier being a B-list movie star that was on top of the game than being like an A-list that no one knows about, that's not getting any work. You know what I mean? Like that. It's just how I like at a big fish in a small pond, or a small fish in a big pond. It's a lot of times throughout life, you got to think about those things and stuff. And, I was a big fish in the big pond because I was a WWE heavyweight champion. That was never meant to be. That never would have happened if I hadn't changed the entire playing field and manipulated it by bringing ECW back and being the most valuable foot to put forward in that situation.
Absolutely. Now, you had mentioned you'd been in wrestling 30 plus years. Rob, in that time, what would you say is one lesson that you learned that you didn't expect to learn, and how did it change your career afterwards?
Well, I mean, here's just a story that comes to mind way back. One of my very first matches, Sabu and I were in Vermont wrestling, and the Sheik and Abdullah the Butcher were the main event. And we were in Burlington, Vermont. And Sheik and Abdullah the Butcher, during their match, somebody came by and told us they wanted everyone to empty the dressing room out for this big run-in at the end. Everyone come out, big smudge. They'll be fighting in the crowd. Me and Sabu got together, and we said, those guys are going to get sliced up. And this was before Sabu got all those scars too, by the way. But he was like, I don't want to get cut. Do you? I was like, no. And he said, well, let's just stick to each other and like do our own thing, like kind of like get away from everybody else. And so we had our match, a long match, did every spot in the book. And then it came to the main event, and then Sheik and Abdullah are out there brawling, and all the baby faces, all the heels, everyone runs out from the dressing room. Me and Sabu were like, well, man, let's go. We went out there and started fighting each other. We rolled into the ring, and we started doing high spots. Like they're in the middle of this big pull-apart brawl. We didn't know any better. Sabu should have known. He'd been around like 6 years longer than me. I was green as grass. And we started doing high spots and monkey flipping them, head scissors, walking the rope. And afterwards, we came back to the dressing room, and we watched all of the wrestlers come back. And they all had blood on them, but nobody knew it was theirs because the cutting was done so professionally. They never had a clue. Everyone came back, and they're like, man, somebody was bleeding out there. And they're like, wait a minute, is it me? And then the next guy would come back, and he's like, I got someone's blood on my head too. And they're like, no, dude, you're sliced. What? Are you serious? And nobody knew because Abdullah and Sheik were out there, and they had the blades on their fingers. Everyone that came at them, they went, they were just, bam, bam. They weren't sanitizing the blade in between slices, by the way. They were forehead, shoulder, arm, chest, forehead, all over everybody. And everyone came back and had no clue that they were all sliced up. And we were like, ha ha, like we did the good thing, high-fiving. Then Abdullah comes back. He was so hot. He was pissed. You motherfuckers. And he told us to go in this room so he could scream at us. Sheik was there behind him, letting him yell. Like I was looking at Sheik, like, aren't you gonna, do a run in here, make a save? And I guess we deserved it. The term used that I learned that day was, you guys are going into business for yourself. And I didn't know what that meant, but I knew what it meant afterwards, and I know what it means now. When a couple of people go off and are doing their own thing, when really the agenda should be for the greater good of everybody out there. That's called going into business for yourself. Or when you grab the microphone and say, fuck what they wanted me to talk about, boom, I'm going to talk about what I want to. That's going into business for yourself as well. So I learned that on one of my I think it was my fourth match. Yeah.
How'd that happen? Just the mic story.
Oh no, that's just an example.
Okay.
I'm just saying that happened, meaning the Abdul the Butcher one. But no, that's just. But on other wrestlers, though, you know what I mean. Like that's a term when someone is just looking out for themselves, and it's not for the betterment of the company. They're going to the business for themselves. So, yeah.
Definitely don't want that. Now, you have had
done well.
You have had some of the most unique and just awe-inspiring ring gear throughout your career. And I was wanting to know, out of all the gear, what is your favorite piece of gear that you don't own?
Favorite piece of gear that I don't own?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you mean of mine, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know for sure like which ones I have parted with, because I have donated them before or sold them or auctioned. Not a lot, but a lot more than I thought, because WWE a couple of years ago for the fan access, they wanted to put up some RVD outfits. And then, I don't have that one. I don't have that one. They're like, okay, any outfit that you wear at WrestleMania. And I couldn't find any. And I had no idea. Like every once in a while at a convention, a fan will come up and they'll show me like one of my outfits. I'm like, where did you get that? Or they got it, years ago. And over the years, I may have left one or two in a hotel room and not known to. Statistically, that's a great possibility. But I do own a lot of them, though. I have a closet full of them. It'd be cool to put them all on display somewhere, somehow. I had some ideas that I think would be cool if I had a place to do that. But an outfit that I don't have, I think this just comes to mind. There might be a better answer if I thought about it longer, but there was an outfit I wore in ECW, and it was like sheet metal that was like bolted together. And it got a big hole in it. I think the iron burnt a little hole in it when Joe Holland was drying the airbrushing, and then it just got bigger, and right away it was something I couldn't wear anymore. But I really thought that it looked hardcore, made me look like I was the Tin Man, kind of, except for the sheets of metal weren't all silver and shiny. It was more hardcore feeling, more like it had been worn down, rusted, and maybe painted a little bit. So that comes to mind. I wrestled the Eliminators with Sabu wearing that outfit.
Man, that, just to describe that, it sounds so amazing. I'm going to have to look that one up. I don't recall that one. I mean, you've had so many. The Tiger print one was one I thought was
favorite. Everyone's favorite, the Tiger Stripes.
That one. And then I had heard in a prior interview that you've had, and I could be wrong about this, so forgive me, but you've had a couple hundred concussions.
They're all self-diagnosed, but when I did my documentary Headstrong, which is on Amazon, and Tubi. Oh, okay. Myself and one guy, Joe, who's a good friend of mine, Clark, we did everything frame by frame and put that movie together. And during that, I did some adding up in my head, and I came up with like around 500. Now, to me, a concussion is when you get hit in the head. Usually, I mean, you could get jarred maybe and get the same kind of reaction, but it's when you lose your senses, when you get your bell rung. And for me, it used to be part of every night. Like when I was wrestling Balls Mahoney, 100%, I was going to get one of these mild concussions in the ring. Yeah, when he comes up with that chair, wham! I'm hoping that I get the middle of the chair, because if I get the edge and get the rim, it might split me open. But if I get it in the middle, I'm probably just going to be loopy for a few seconds. Wham! And I go down. And, sometimes the sound goes out. I see everybody, but it's silent for a few seconds, just a few seconds. Then it comes in, and then sometimes it's slow motion, looking around. A lot of times, and sometimes it could be just seeing, floaties. The one I had in 2016 that inspired me to make this movie, Headstrong, it gave me double vision, and usually that's happened a lot, and I think it might be depending on where on my head it's hit. I haven't done the study to link each reaction to the location, but I believe there's some credibility in that theory. Hitting the back of my head a lot of times, which I do myself a lot of times, just taking a bump, that will throw my equilibrium off. I got no balance. It's crazy. I've been on the top rope holding on to that turnbuckle with everything I had, and it felt like I was in one of those tunnels at a amusement park, that like spins around you and you got to walk through it. That's exactly what it felt like I was going, whoa. And I've had a lot of those. Yeah. And the double vision one stuck with me for a long time. I had to get vision therapy for quite a while and time until, my vision would return to normal. So I just always considered that part of the job until we started learning about the concussion damage and CTE and all of that. I wouldn't take those chair shots moving forward, knowing what I know now. But I've only had probably 2 concussions that were diagnosed by a doctor.
I mean, and Lord knows that's just the ones that you can recall and count. Like, it could sadly be a higher number.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was like every day. It was just part of the job. And in my generation, we never thought about getting lasting concussion damage on our brain. Like, we weren't educated on it. We knew like boxers would get what we called punch drunk. That was as close as we had on facts about what could happen to our heads, really, until Chris Nowinski was taking the studies and the results from all the football chatter and bringing it over into the wrestling world. And thank God he did, because we've really learned a lot. And up until that double vision concussion that I got in 2016, and it was so minor. It's not like I was out or anything. That almost never happens. It was just a simple roll through, a weird Mexican arm drag. I rolled through, the back of my head just hit the mat hard enough, and I always wonder if it's my ponytail too sometimes, but just hard enough to where when I stood up, I'm like, whoa, like everything's spinning around. And I grabbed the referee, like I've done hundreds of times, probably at least dozens, say, hey, come here. And hey, I just need a second, okay. All right, let's go. And then boom, that's usually all it takes. And this one stuck with me, but I had the bragging rights before that of saying that I never had any lasting results from all of those concussions. And all my friends would say the opposite. They would say, I get headaches, or I see floaters, or whatever it is. Like, almost all of my peers from my generation seem to say and feel like they have long-term concussion damage. Some of them think they have CTE, but that's just because they don't understand that it's a degenerative disease like Alzheimer's. It's not something you just get and then it goes away, or it's not the same thing as long-term concussion damage anyway. But yeah, I always thought maybe cannabis, because there's a lot of science in the neurological protector factors of cannabis, and I thought maybe that was what was helping me, get over all of these times, hundreds that my bell was rung. But that one that stuck with me, even though my vision returned back to normal. I don't know for sure that it's like it was before. I'm older now, so my vision's going to be a little worse anyway. I've always had crappy vision anyway. I've worn glasses since I'm 2 years old, but I don't have the double vision. And when I do all of my eye tests, I hit normal on the charts and everything, but it's not like you go back to when you were younger. It always gets worse.
That's very true. I mean, my vision is getting a little bit worse now as I get older, but at nights when it really sucks for me to drive because I've got like a touch of night blindness and
Everything's so dark for me right now. It's crazy.
God. Well,
Yeah.
before we wrap up here, Rob, I wanted to get some conversation about Only Wrestlers and your podcast that you got that you're hosting. I want you to tell the people about what you got going on.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Only Wrestlers. It's a platform for wrestlers to use and fans to use that want to extend their relationship. So I'm at a lot of wrestling conventions, and so are my friends. And man, fans will wait in line for sometimes for hours at the really busy ones. And when they finally get up there, and then they feel like so rushed, like they're nervous sometimes, and it's like I give everyone enough time, to meet them and sign whatever, get a picture, and like I give everyone the time, but I know when they leave, they're just like, okay, wow, now the whole experience is over. Like I came all the way here for that, I live 3 hours away, I wanted to meet him and whatever they told me, but now when they leave, they're not going to see me again, or maybe they'll see me when I'm in their town again in 12 months or something. But now that moment can just be extended, like as they're leaving, I can hand them a card and say, hey, by the way, follow me on Only Wrestlers. And so now when they sign up to follow me on Only Wrestlers, they can keep up with me. They can message me. Each wrestler that has a profile on Only Wrestlers has the options to spend as much time or as little time on their profile, to charge as much or as little for subscriptions. And in fact, Katie Forbes, my beautiful wife, and myself, we're always going to be free, completely free. So you can sign up, follow us. I respond to everyone that messages me there. And I have it has a story feature like Instagram. And that's my favorite thing to use because I can check in, update my Only Wrestlers fam throughout the day, like, and I bring them closer to me because I want it all to be exclusive. So I give them stuff that I wouldn't put on Instagram or Twitter. I'll talk about my doctor's appointments and what's going on, with personal stuff. When I'm whatever, like everyone can do like whatever. You can have them at the show. We can go live. You can hit live, like say Fonzie wants to set the phone down at his table, and anyone all over the world. And by the way, we have followers in almost 30 different countries too. So that's pretty awesome. We have each profile has a store. So I have a store where you can get RVD action figures, Funko Pops signed by me to you. It's the only place you can do that. So that's the exclusivity there. No, because my eBay is in another state. And so I can't sign it to somebody. It just doesn't work out that way. But you can on the only wrestlers. And that's only part of it. And there's a lot more to that. There's incentives, like you get your friends to sign up, you make money off of them. And that goes for followers, fans, and for wrestlers, creators, both of them. If you refer somebody, there's that. There's pay-per-views that they can do on there. Like I said, they go live story. There's a video wall. There's a feed wall. There's pictures. So it's a cool thing. Check it out. Might be for you. If it is cool, if it's not, that's cool too. But this is only half of it, because everybody, once they follow and become part of the Only Wrestlers Association, now we're a big group moving forward, and they're going to be voting on and helping us make decisions. And very soon, we're already talking about it, we're going to be doing live wrestling shows. We're only going to be booking the wrestlers that are our clients that have profiles on Only Wrestlers, and the fans are going to be voting on things that are going to be increasingly more important as we grow. It could be like who's going to wrestle who or what kind of match. It can grow, next stage is kind of like which towns we come to. It even grows from there. So we got big plans of where to put future growth. it's a real exciting thing to be part of. Myself and Katie Forbes and Only Wrestlers Association are all free. And some of the wrestlers are free too. And some of them are free because they're not using it that much and they might change the price later, or some of them might stay that way or whatever. But it's growing every day. More fans, more wrestlers. I was told yesterday we have over 200 wrestlers that have joined right now. I know several that I have to teach them how to use it, that are waiting for me. But that's Only Wrestlers, OWA, and that's about all I think. One other thing I'll mention, we want our website to eventually be like a go-to hub for like all things wrestling. So we're talking about adding agendas if the fans are interested. I'm testing right now to see if they're interested in doing like a fantasy wrestling thing, but it would be unrelated, except it could turn into something physical moving forward when we actually have agents that are deputized in different areas or whatever. So there's a lot of cool stuff we could do there. But there's a community chat room. And that was just added like a week or two. We're always growing. We're always adding things to the website. We want to do our podcasts on the website when we can, but the community chat room is open for everybody 24 hours a day. So go there and meet and talk with other followers and be social and find some wrestlers, pop in there every once in a while too. So OWA, OWA.com, onlywrestlersassociation.com, whatever it is. If it's for you, glad to have you. If not,
I'll say one thing we'll do going forward, because again, this is such a cool thing. I'm going to put a link to your profile in the description of our videos going forward. That way people that are browsing through want to see, check it out. Again, it's free. Guys, like, this is an incredible opportunity. Where else are you going to be able to go and do something like this and get this type of conversation and interaction and not wait 4 hours, 5 hours in a line? And like Rob said, feel like you're being rushed through the process. Like, you can do it from the leisure of your own home. You can talk to your childhood heroes, your mentors. Great opportunity. This is something I would strongly recommend everybody at least just visiting the site.
Check it out. And if you're a wrestler, this is an invite to create a profile. And even if you're a promoter, we have some independent wrestling companies who have profiles. And then guess what? You get to push your talent and your shows, anything that you want to put over as far as your company there. We're going to help bring people to you, but also, push it like it's your own, like it's your platform, just like it was your Instagram or whatever. And sky's the limit.
Absolutely, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Heated Shenanigans Podcast. I want to sincerely thank my guest, RVD, for taking time from his very busy schedule to sit and speak with us. It has truly been an honor, Rob, and I want to thank you again for taking time to join us.
Right on, Scott. Enjoyed the conversation. I look forward to seeing you again down the road. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for